Sidney woke up with a jolt, gasping for air. He looked around his dark bedroom, trying to calm his racing heart. He had just returned from a nightmare that was not his own. He was a dream hunter, a rare type of human who could enter and manipulate the dreams of others. He used his gift to help people who suffered from nightmares or sleep disorders caused by malicious creatures that fed on their dreams. He called them dream stealers, and he hated them with a passion. He checked his phone and saw that it was 3:15 a.m. He had been in the dream world for almost 2 hours, and he felt exhausted. He just completed a difficult mission, rescuing a young boy from a giant spider that had spun a web of fear around his mind. He had barely managed to escape. The spider sensed his presence and attacked him with its venomous fangs. He got up from his bed and walked to his bathroom. He splashed some water on his face and looked at himself in the mirror. He saw a man in his late 20s with short black hair, piercing blue eyes, and a stubble on his chin. He had a lean and muscular body covered with scars and tattoos. He had a tattoo of a dream catcher on his chest, a symbol of his profession and his purpose. He dried his face with a towel and went back to his bedroom. He put on a pair of jeans and a t-shirt and grabbed his leather jacket. He also took his backpack, which contained his tools and weapons. He had a gun, a knife, a flashlight, and a device that he called a dream catcher. It was a small metal box with wires and electrodes attached to it. It allowed him to enter and exit the dreams of others, as well as to communicate with his clients and other dream hunters. He left his apartment and walked to his motorcycle. He lived in a rundown building in a shady part of the city. He preferred it that way, as it gave him privacy and anonymity. He didn't have many friends or family, and he liked to keep it that way. He had learned the hard way that being a dream hunter was a lonely and dangerous job. He started his motorcycle and drove to his next destination. He received a request from a wealthy client who claimed that his daughter had been kidnapped by a notorious dream stealer. He offered him a huge sum of money to rescue her and bring her back. Sidney accepted the mission as he needed the money and he hated dream stealers. He had also been intrigued by the identity of the kidnapper. He was known as the Nightmare King, the leader of a gang of dream stealers who terrorized the city with their twisted and violent dreams. He was the most wanted and feared dream stealer in the world, and no one had ever seen his face or entered his realm. He arrived at the client's mansion and parked his motorcycle outside. He walked to the gate and pressed the intercom button. A voice answered him. "Who is it?" "Sidney. I'm here for the job. Come in. I've been expecting you." The gate opened and Sidney entered. He followed a path that led him to the front door. He knocked and the door opened. He saw a man standing in front of him. He was in his 50s, with gray hair, a mustache, and a suit. He had a stern and serious expression on his face. He was the client, and he looked worried. "Mr. Sidney, thank you for coming. I'm Mr. Jones. Please, come in." Sidney nodded and followed him inside. He entered a spacious and luxurious living room with a fireplace, a sofa, and a TV. He saw a woman sitting on the sofa with a tissue in her hand. She was in her 40s, with blonde hair and a dress. She had a sad and scared expression on her face. She was the mother of the girl, and she looked distraught. "Mr. Sidney, this is my wife, Mrs. Jones. She's been very upset since our daughter was taken. We're both very grateful that you agreed to help us." Sidney nodded again and looked at the woman. He felt a pang of sympathy for her, but he didn't say anything. He wasn't good at comforting people, and he didn't want to waste time. He wanted to get to the point. "Where is your daughter?" he asked. "She's in her bedroom, upstairs. She's been asleep for 3 days, ever since the Nightmare King took her. We've tried everything to wake her up, but nothing works. She's trapped in his dream, and we don't know what he's doing to her. We're afraid that he'll kill her, or worse." Sidney frowned and felt a surge of anger. He hated the Nightmare King, and he hated what he did to people. He wanted to save the girl, and he wanted to stop him. "Can I see her?" he asked. "Of course. Follow me." Mr. Jones led him to the stairs, and they climbed up to the second floor. They walked to a door with a sign that said, "Lily." Mr. Jones opened the door, and they entered. They saw a bedroom with a bed, a closet, a desk, and a window. They saw a girl lying on the bed with a blanket covering her. She was in her teens with long brown hair and a nightgown. She had a pale and peaceful expression on her face. "This is Lily, our daughter. She's a sweet and smart girl with a bright future ahead of her. She loves to read, to draw, and to play the piano. She's our pride and joy, and we love her more than anything. Please, Mr. Sidney, please save her. Please bring her back to us." Sidney looked at the girl and felt a twinge of sadness. He wondered what kind of dreams she had before the Nightmare King took them away. He wondered what kind of nightmares she was having while the Nightmare King tormented her, what kind of person she was, and what kind of person she would become. He walked to the bed and put his backpack on the floor. He took out his dream catcher and placed it on the nightstand. He attached the electrodes to the girl's temples and to his own. He turned on the device and adjusted the settings. He was ready to enter the dream world and to face the Nightmare King. He looked at the parents and gave them a reassuring smile. "Don't worry, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. I'll save your daughter and I'll bring her back. Trust me, I'm a professional. I've done this before and I know what I'm doing. Just stay here and wait for me. I'll be back soon." He closed his eyes and pressed a button. He felt a jolt, and then he was gone. He entered the dream world, and the nightmare began.